All right, there we go with the Drifters and Save the Last Dance for Me. All right, we're only a few minutes away from the lady, Miss DIANE Renay. She'll be here. We'll be chatting with her. Looking forward to this, I'll tell you. And I know all of you out there are also. Right now, here is one of her great big hits from 1964. I like this, especially being a sailor myself. Kiss Me, Sailor. All right, there we are, ladies and gentlemen, with DIANE Renay and Kiss Me, Sailor. And on the other end of this phone, I got the Sailor Girl herself. Hi, DIANE.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. And how are you this evening?
Doing fine, thank you.
Ah, man, it is such a pleasure for us, all of us here at Remember Then Radio, to have you with us tonight. And we've really been looking forward to you being here. Back in 1964, when your record hit the charts, I was in the Navy, and I'll tell you, I got to tell you, it was a big hit on our ship.
I can just imagine.
So, DIANE, tell me, how did you get started in this business?
Oh boy, it's a long story. I'll try and make it as short as possible. I always sang from the time I was a real little girl, and when I was 12 years old, I started taking singing lessons in Philadelphia with a well-known singing teacher by the name of Artie Singer, who also was the manager of Danny and the Juniors and a lot of other people that came out of Philadelphia. So one day when I was having a lesson, Artie said to me, when you get a little bit older, you should consider cutting a record. That's all I had to hear, because then I drove my parents crazy for like a couple of years. I want to cut a record. I want to cut a record. So by the time I was 14, my father had a jewelry store in Philadelphia, and a lot of his customers were in show business. He had a friend who had a local band in Philadelphia, and he said to his friend, listen, if I get a recording studio. Will you bring your guys in and let my daughter do a demo so I can see if she has what it takes to be a recording artist, because she's driving me crazy. So he said okay. And there were 4 boys that I used to hang out with on the street corners of South Philadelphia when I was a kid, and they would sing the doo-wop, and I would sing the lead vocal. So my dad brought them into the studio, and we sang the song "Zing Went the Strings of My Heart."
Oh,
and
yeah.
that song, I believe, is one of the tracks that's on DIANE Renae's Navy Blue 25 Super Tracks. It's the new Navy Blue album that I have out now. So after that happened, a year went by, and I drove my parents crazy. And a good customer of my dad was the cousin of record producer Pete DeAngelis.
Oh, yeah.
So he set up a meeting to have my parents drive me over to Pete's house in New Jersey to let Pete listen to me sing, to see what Pete thought. And Pete used to produce Bobby Rydell and Al Martino and a lot of people from Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over to Pete's house with my parents, and he sat down at the piano, and he started to play a couple of standards and let me sing. And he turns around and he says to my mother and father, you know, she has a lot of talent, and I think I can get her a record deal. And that's how it started.
Wow.
So he went to Atco Records, and he got me a record deal, and he produced my very first single called Little White Lies. It was the remake of the old song Little White Lies, and I was 16 years old at that time.
Okay.
That was the beginning.
All right.
After that, I put out another record I was on the Atco label, and for my second session, they asked Bob Crew to come in and produce me, and Bob Crew was the writer and the record producer for all of the Four Seasons hits and many other artists.
Yes.
And the second release I had was called Tender. And after Tender, because the first 2 records didn't hit the charts high enough, Atco let me go. They didn't renew my contract.
All right.
So Bob Crew went to my dad, and he says, listen, Eddie, I would like to put Diane under my own personal wing and produce her and manage her because I think that she has a lot of talent. So my father said to me, okay, and that's when Navy Blue came along. The first session I did with Bob, we did 3 songs, and believe it or not, Navy Blue, I think, was the last song of the session, and it took us 20 minutes to record it. I was in the room when Bob Crew, Eddie Rambeau, and Bud Rehak were writing the song Navy Blue.
Wow.
I was there.
Oh,
And Navy Blue hit the charts and went to the top, and that was the beginning of the Navy thing.
Now, Navy Blue, according to Billboard, was #1 on the adult contemporary charts, #6 on the Hot 100. And, you know, Diane, that is quite a feat because we're talking about 1964 and a British invasion when a lot of the American acts were kind of like in the back row, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
The Beatles had the top 3 songs, I remember.
Oh.
Here's an interesting story. I was with the William Morris Talent Agency, and the Beatles were coming. That's all you heard everybody in the business saying. The Beatles are coming, the Beatles are coming. Well, I was approached by my agent at William Morris to be the opening act for the Beatles. That when they came to the United States, they were going to go on tour, and they were looking for a female artist to open the show for them. So they approached me, and my agent said to me, but listen, let me tell you this. Whoever goes on stage before the Beatles is probably going to get booed, or they're going to scream through your entire act, we want the Beatles, we want the Beatles. So if your feelings are going to get hurt and it's going to upset you, maybe you should consider not doing it, but that's up to you. Maybe you should think about it for a while.
Right.
I turned and I looked at him. I said, I thought about it. My feelings will get hurt. I'm not going to do it. So I didn't do it, and I'm not sure who they got. I think they might have gotten Seal and Black, the British girl, to open the show for them. I'm not sure. But, you know, now that I look back at all that the Beatles did and all that they were, I'm kind of sorry that I didn't do the show with them just to get a chance to meet them.
Sure.
Hey, what do you, how did I know? You know, I was just a kid myself.
Now, I understand that Navy Blue was not the A-side of your record when it came out.
No, it wasn't. Actually, the A-side of the record was called Unbelievable Guy, and it was released as the A-side, and there was a disc jockey in Worcester, Massachusetts. I believe his name was Dick Smith. He flipped the record and started to play Navy Blue because he liked it.
Wow.
And it just took off like wildfire. The stations just started picking it up and playing it, and I was still in high school. I came home from school one day, and the phone rings, and my producer, Bob Crew, was on the other end of the line. He says, I have something to tell you. Sit down. So I sat down. He says, you'll never guess. You have a hit record. And I'll say, you're kidding. He says, but you'll never guess what song it is. I said, Unbelievable Guy. He says, no, it's Navy Blue. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, man. Diane, you know, I'd like to play that side right now, and
Sure.
You and I will take a little break. And this is a great tune. I was listening to it the other day, and I've played it on my show during the week. But I'd like our audience tonight to get a chance to listen to it. So here we go. Here's Diane Renay, and this was going to be the A side, but hey, the rest is history. Here's Diane and Unbelievable Guy. All right, there we go. Unbelievable Guy. Hey, Diane, I like that.
Thank you.
Wow. So that was going to be the A side, and then the record got flipped over, and as they say, the rest is history, right?
Right, that's for sure.
You know, you and I were talking while the song was playing. I was amazed this week when I looked at the Joel Whitburn book. Now, he does all the Billboard charts and everything. It's sort of like my Bible. And in 1964, you